Welcome to German Tesla. Today we're going to go through our trip where we drove from Columbia, South Carolina to Greenville, South Carolina for a day trip in the Tesla Model 3. And the plan was to drive up to Greenville, supercharge, drive up to Jones Gap State Park, do some hiking, and then go back into Greenville and visit a couple of places, and then go home for the day and do all this in one day. And total ended up being 260-mile total trip. And we did stop once, so this is the video. This trip, we were heading to Greenville, South Carolina to go do some hiking up in the mountains at Jones State Park. We started the day off with 300 miles of charge, and our first stop was going straight up I-26, and stopping at the supercharger just south of Greenville itself. What makes these trips a lot of fun is the fact that you can put AutoPilot on and you can kind of look to the sides and see the scenery, and you actually see more than what you typically would. Now, I don't recommend doing this while you're driving, but this is something you can do while you're on AutoPilot slightly. It did find out it's a little difficult to pay attention because the car did not like it when it went off, as you can see here. And there goes my AutoPilot, and we had to stop and put it in park in order to get my AutoPilot to work again throughout the day. So here we are coming to the supercharger, which is southeast of Greenville. It's right off of 385, and so it's located in between a couple of hotels right off the interstate. And there is, as usual, some things close to it. There was a bunch of stores, such as an REI, there was a Whole Foods, some food places. They were actually doing a run, and what we did is we parked at the supercharger, and we actually decided to walk up to the REI. We went in the REI, we went into the Whole Foods, and we actually did not have time to grab food. When we arrived to the supercharger, we had roughly 150 miles of range still, and it didn't take that long to charge. We decided to go ahead and charge it up to as much as we could. I set it for 100% charge, and we left. It was supposed to be a 45-minute charge. We actually came back probably about 40 minutes after just walking up there and walking back. That was a good 10 minutes by itself, the walk was. And as you can see here, we are pulling into the supercharger, and you'll see the range that we have when we get in. It's so easy though. You just basically get out your car and you plug straight into you take the supercharger and plug it straight into the car, and you just walk off and enjoy your time, and then your phone notifies you when you're starting to be close to done charging, and you go and grab your car back. Now, once we got done charging, got back in the car, we went and grabbed some food at the Crackle Barrel down the road. And then we were back off towards the park. And what's so neat about going through Greenville is that you got the pretty mountains everywhere you look. As you can see ahead, there's pretty beautiful mountains up above the hill here. As you're driving down through the roads, there's just pretty mountains everywhere. Now, I know that a lot of people probably have beautiful scenery, where they live or close to them, but in Columbia, South Carolina, there's really not a lot of pretty scenery, so we really enjoy it when we get to make these trips up into the mountains. And here's another area that we drove through called Traveler's Rest, and we've been through it a couple of times. But if you're in the Greenville area, I would recommend going through Traveler's Rest and stopping at some of the places there they have the Swamp Rabbit trail that goes through Greenville and up through here and comes to an end pretty close to here, down the road actually. And they have bike racks at all the different places where you can actually stop and park your bike and go in, have a beer or whatever you want, eat some food. It's a really neat thing. Again, I just want to point out the fact that I am pretty much using AutoPilot throughout this entire trip, which just makes traveling so much easier. You don't have to pay attention quite as vigorously, and your eyes aren't as tired. You get to look around a little bit more. It's just a lot better trip altogether. Now, with that said, you definitely do need to still pay attention. Just it's a little bit easier, but in situations you need to really pay attention when you're going around curves. If there is oncoming traffic, make sure that your car is staying in this lane. Because as you can see here, we get really close to this car coming in, and I had my hand right next to the wheel ready to kind of jerk it if I needed to. So we are still paying attention. We're being safe. For example, here I am going to have to actually take control of the car because it does not do what it's supposed to do. And I did not have my hand close to the wheel that time. I had my right one close, but not my left one. Needless to say, that gave me an opportunity to drive the Model 3 around the mountain curves and enjoy how it rides and how the suspension feels. Alright, and we finally arrived to the park. They were really full, and apparently that's normal for this place on the weekends. And so we actually had to be stopped at the park ranger. He gave us directions in, told us how many parking spots were available. There were 3 spots left when we got there. So told us where to park, and so we pull up. You do have to pay for parking for the day by basically the honor system. You put your money in. I actually have a pass, and I left it at home that day, which, oh well, I get to put a little bit more money towards the South Carolina State Forestry, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah. So overall, we hiked roughly 3 miles and saw those waterfalls. The waterfalls you just saw was Jones Gap Falls, as you can see in the middle with the blue path, and I would highly recommend it. We are finally leaving for the day. We're back in the Tesla Model 3, and we're going to just enjoy some more driving. From here, we're going to actually we're heading to Greenville, South Carolina again, and we're going to stop at Brewery 85, which is right next to Proterra Buses, which is an all-electric bus manufacturer in Greenville. And we're going to enjoy a beer and watch the sunset, and then we are going to head home. We did not actually have to supercharge again, so the one supercharge coming up was plenty. You don't use a lot of miles coming through the lower mountains as long as you're not ascending a lot. And we had plenty of mileage when we got home. I think we ended up with 60 miles left when we got home. So thanks for watching. Please like or subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can see when I post more videos. I post videos like this or of reviews of products for the Model 3. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.